Hey, and welcome back to my studio. I'm Marty, and today I want to talk with you a little bit about reverbs, and I want to show you my approach and my techniques that I sometimes use to get a little bit more out of your reverb and to kind of do a little bit different things that you might want to do with the reverb. So basically, when you add kind of like a room reverb or a plate, you probably just use an auxiliary send. If you have a console, just plug it into your aux send and the returns, and you have a standard digital outboard gear, for example. When you turn it up, you have a stereo reverb there. And you can basically do this also in the box. This is just the normal way to use a reverb. But sometimes you want to create a little bit of a different space, especially, for example, when you think of instruments like acoustic guitar that are panned on one side. So you don't want to have just the left side of the guitar in the whole stereo image. And what you can basically do, and this leads me to the first thing that I'm going to show you now, is to actually use a reverb on an auxiliary send, but on the opposite side. So when you have, for example, in my case here, an acoustic guitar on the left side, you pan the reverb just on the right side. And let's, for the sake of it, call that just the mono reverb on one side technique. All right, folks, so here we are. Here's the project. Two acoustic guitars, a tambourine, and a lead vocal. And I recommend using headphones for that, so you can really hear the small nuances of the reverb and all the details. So I'm gonna grab my headphones here. And well, let's play now without any of the effects that I did here to the project. So first of all, acoustic guitar here on the left side. Let's mute all the other ones and just play it. All right, so nothing fancy, just the standard acoustic guitar panned to the left side. And what I did here is I created here a buzz, so I sent it here to an auxiliary send. Here is a reverb, it's the standard reverb from Waves, just with a standard plate reverb in full wet mode, of course. Reduced a little bit the early reflections and a little bit of pre-delay, and adjusted just the size and the time a little bit. So this buzz goes out on the console here, but you can just use it in the box with the output 1 and 2. Goes out here on those two channels, which is 21 and 22, and I panned it all the way to the right. So we have the tri signal on the left and the reverb on the right, and it sounds like that. So let's push that a little bit so it sounds a little bit overemphasized. So that's without. And with. And with. So you might want to play around how much you send in the reverb. Actually, you can control kind of like a stereo image, and this is actually kind of like a fake room where just the left side of the tri signal is sent all the way to the right, and it kind of like bounces back as it would of natural physical surfaces like walls and so forth. And what this allows you is, for example, I have here two guitars. I did the exactly same on the right guitar, send it to another bus with the same reverb, and I actually just pan it all the way to the left here. You may play around with different settings, so you get kind of like a little bit of different diffusion settings or something like that. And what this allows you is you can create a little bit of a wider stereo image, and the guitars all the way will sound a little bit fuller, and it sounds a little bit different than just inserting a standard stereo reverb all on both guitars, right? So let's see how that works out. Let's play it without and then with. Now with. push it a little more. All right, so I think you might kind of get the idea. It's a really cool technique. You can also use that in a dance mix, for example, like on a bus, and where you have many different electric guitars, and to create a little bit more space for them, a little bit more depth. So I really like that. It's a great way of using a reverb. So that's the first method, and let's head on to another one. All right, so next one here, I want to show you on the tambourine. Let's play the tambourine here a little bit without any effects. Okay, so just a little bit of compression here, EQ and saturation. And what I did here, I bussed it to bus 4, so another auxiliary. And this is now this so-called filtered reverb technique. And what you basically do is, I have here on last in the chain the platinum warp of waves, so very standard reverb, just in a big room setting with the diffusion all the way up, reverb a little bit down, and basically did nothing else, maybe just a little bit with the room size, can play around with that. And it sounds without any of the effects I have before it, sounds like that. So this is, you can hear now the standard reverb without, pretty dry, and with. Maybe let's push it a little bit. Okay, and what I wanted to create here is kind of like a longer sustain of the instrument, so that the tail of the reverb is a little bit more emphasized. And you can do that with EQ and with, for example, saturation. I used here just a distortion plugin. So let's see what the distortion does here. I have a standard overdrive from Logic, added a little bit of a drive, didn't do anything with the output, and the tone here where the saturation or the overdrive happens is of 5000 hertz. So sounds like that. So let's engage it. So there's quite some grit to it, sounds really interesting. But what I hear is there's a little bit of a low end that I don't like, that wasn't actually in there before. So I used here now a EQ, Renaissance EQ, and I pulled everything out below 400 hertz, and I quite boosted a little bit, 11,000 hertz, so to really push the actual high end and the transients back in. Sounds like that. Well, first without and then with. And it may sound a little weird now in solo, but let's bring all the other instruments in, especially the vocals.
She was running down on me, glad that no one's around here. Have to
and without the effect.
Now to grow on, to grow strong. And then I look up at the ceiling of this big yellow tent, and I don't know much about love, but I guess that's how it's meant to be. Free as a bird, still feel.
So it kind of gets this, I would say, this high-end sparkle, so it kind of a brilliance to the sound that you wouldn't achieve just with using the reverb on its own. So this overdrive and the filter then with the EQ kind of pushes that really out, and also it sounds a little bit longer, so the sustain is quite a bit longer. All right, so that's the filtered EQ, and I would say let's move on to another technique that I really like doing on vocals. All right, so lead vocals here in the red. I actually didn't use any in-the-box effects. I just used outboard equipment, which is a Lexicon MX200, MIDI 4, and a TC Electronic M350. And what I quite often do, or what I really like doing on vocals, is to stack reverbs. So this is kind of like, you could say, a stacked reverb technique. And it's basically just so that one reverb doesn't do all the work or have to do all the work. So every reverb in the chain does just a little bit. This allows you to get a much more natural sound of a reverb. I basically use long and short reverbs, like plates, for example, or real room reverbs, and for example, a slapback delay that I also have here of the TC Electronic. And this allows you to, as I said, a much more natural sound with the reverb and the dry vocal together. And I brought it here just on the console with auxiliary 1, 2, 3, and 4. And let's listen to the vocal without any of the reverbs.
I am here to stay, standing on this rope here, no one there to call on my own.
Okay, so this is now a try. Let's push all 4 in.
I am here to stay, standing on this rope here, no one there to call on my own.
Okay, so what I basically did here is, so on the warm reverb, I just added a little bit of a darkening effect. Lexicon is just in the small plate, which is on auxiliary 2. And the TC Electronic, the 350, I used here the slapback, and the TC, Classic Hall, which is actually very good sounding. I really like that. And so let's play just the different reverbs on their own. So let's start with the MIDI verb. Let's push it a little bit. Sounds like that. Give it back. So, and then the Lexicon. Okay, and now the TC. There is the slapback and the Classic Hall. So let's listen just to the Hall. And now just the slapback.
My own, I grow strong, shivers running down on me, glad that no one is around here, have to concentrate.
Right, and let's play with the dry signal all together the first one, the MIDI verb.
I am here to stay.
So just a very dark sounding reverb
this rope
without.
Here, no one there to call on.
And with.
So
that's the first stage, kind of to make the impression that it was tracked actually in a kind of like a live situation in a studio. You may also try the other instruments in there, so you kind of get the illusion that everything was tracked at the same time in the same room. Mush it a little bit together. And let's now hear the Lexicon.
I am here to stay, standing on this rope here, no one there to call on my own. I grow strong.
Then let's go to the slapback.
I am here to stay. Standing on this rope here, no one there to call on
And the
my...
classical now.
I am here to stay.
Very
standing on this
long
rope
reverb tails.
here, no one there to call on my own. I grow strong.
And now push all in.
Shivers running down on me. Glad that no one is around here. Have to concentrate now.
So everything is now a little bit overemphasized, just to hear it a little bit clearer. And let's bring the other tracks in. So we have a real sounding mix there.
I am here to stay. Standing on this rope here.
Without.
No one there to come.
So it sounds really boring, less lively. And with.
I grow strong. Shivers running down on me. Glad that no one is around here. Have to come.
Right, so you can really play around with the different settings on the reverbs. You can use, for example, instead of plates, you can use real rooms, or you use just plates, smaller ones, longer ones, and play around with how much you send into them. And the most important thing is just use a tiny increment of each unit. So one thing doesn't have to do all the work, right? So that's stacking reverbs. And let's move on to the last one, which is kind of like a real fun thing. All right, folks, so the last thing that I want to show you is actually a technique that you can use to kind of build a tension to the song. For example, you may use it on a bridge section or a pre-chorus or a section where it leads up into the chorus to kind of give it a little bit more excitement. And what you can do here is, I'm going to play you now the sample that I created here, so you know what we're dealing with. Once more, bring it a little bit up. Okay, and this is kind of like a reversed reverb where I just played one note. You can use that with a real instrument. You can use it with a synthesizer or a piano, depending what you have in the song. All right, so what I basically did is I created a Yamaha grand piano track here. I used just the piano, a software piano. You can use a synthesizer or something like that. And what you want to do here is place a reverb. Let's use here just the standard reverb again. On the track itself instead of a auxiliary sound. Sounds like that. So maybe just a little bit too much. Let's push it here maybe to 50. A little bit less. And we want to reverse now the note that we're going to play. So it's just a sustained long note, and we're going to reverse that. And the thing is why I place the reverb before we reverse it is because I actually want also the sound of the reverb reversed. If we reverse the signal first, or the sound that we record, and later put on a reverb, you just have a standard reverb on it and with the tri note reversed. But I want everything reversed, so the reverb and the tri note. So let's play just a note here. The song, it doesn't fit quite actually to the song, but it actually ends on an A here, which is that, right? We're gonna play now just that note. Let's hit record. Okay, so this is our note. Let's give it a little bit in front of that. was a bit lazy. And now what we want to do here is with the reverb, make it a little bit better sounding. Maybe use a room. Well, the hall was actually quite, or maybe hall 2. A little bit more. Without. And with. All right, sounds quite good. And now we're gonna select the sample and we are going to bounce it in place. Let's mute the original one and hit OK. So we have now here the new track. Here is the MIDI and the new one. Now we're gonna double click on it. We are going to function. And here we can make some changes like fade in, silence, and so forth. And here is the reverse option. Let's hit that. And as you can see, it's now reverbs. So the start of the note is actually here in the end. And so it kind of gets this uprising sound that you may know of pre-recorded sample that you have in your loop browser of synthesizer sounds, for example. So you can create your own samples with that. And let's give it a try how that sounds. Okay, so reverb is now reversed as well as the try signal. Once more. For example, on this song, we may want to use it as the lead singer starts to sing again, so it should cut off there, like I did here. Let's push it here. The sample itself is maybe a little bit too long, and it actually doesn't fit quite the song, but you kind of get the idea. Well, let's give it a try. And I feel. So as I said, sounds really good on dance mixes like EDM records, electronic music. Just wanted to show you here this example because it fits quite well in the whole reverb topic, and I just wanted to show you how to do that. All right, so that's it again. I hope that it could give you some good ideas for your mixes. And I think those 4 different approaches that I showed you today are great to use. You can also use them in very dense mixes, not just like singer-songwriters I have in my project here. And yeah, so thanks for watching. Please subscribe. And as always, happy recordings and see you in the next video.